Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Caleb here. I just want to do a quick intro before I get you to the episode with Luke and Ian from Cleopatrick. I would imagine most of you are new here, and if you're new here, I hope that you enjoyed the episode, and I would encourage you to stay. I would encourage you to check out some past interviews, some past episodes. Craig and I are really taking this seriously. We want to try to grow the show. We are outside of the podcast, we're just as much as this community as you likely are. Outside of the fact that we have our own musical projects, we're just fans of music, and we want to kind of continue to grow and be an alternate voice for the community. So I think that if you find yourself part of this, whether it's new Rock Mafia or just a fan of rock music or whatever, I encourage you to stick around. I'm not going to ask you for a like or anything like that, at least not right now. Basically, just reach out to us. Let's have a chat. Let's talk. We want to continue to grow this thing through 2021, and we would love to have you be a part of that. So hopefully you enjoy the show. I'm not going to take up any more of your time. Please just enjoy the conversation that we had here with Luke and Ian. It was a lot of fun. I'm glad to have finally had them on the show, and hopefully we see you around. If you enjoyed the episode, hit us up on Instagram or Twitter or whatever, and let's talk about some music. Here you go, Cleopatrick.
Yo, check this out.
Caleb, I love you with all my heart, but you are not Italian.
These guys put a pot smoking Ottawa band on the litter, or test.
Best podcast ever.
Welcome back to We Should Jam Sometime. My name is Caleb. I'm here with Craig.
Hey.
And of course, finally, at least for me anyway, this has been a long time coming. I've really wanted to do this interview. We're here with Ian and Luke from Cleopatrick. What's up, guys?
Yo, what up? I thought so hard.
Ian was into some scalloped potatoes, and he couldn't quite get on the phone call right away, but we finally figured it out.
Yeah, we made it. Sorry if I burp. That'll be.
We had to throw you under
that'll
the
be
bus
terrible.
with that one, buddy. Sorry.
We like to insult our guests right away.
Just to get it out of the way.
Just to get it out of the way. Loosen up the
The
situation.
public
a little
actually
bit.
don't know that I eat potatoes, so that's.
Oh,
We're
you want me to
gonna
cut
have to
that?
edit that.
Yeah, you're gonna have to edit that out, please.
Also, as a disclaimer, I like to usually tell people this, that if you say anything that you want cut, obviously, we will cut it out. But if it's like, if you could be canceled for it, I'm going to keep it if I ever need it in the future.
Yeah, we need it.
Yeah, so
Totally.
it'll
For
be out of the
ourselves.
episode, but like I'll have like a little side,
Respect.
like Cleopatrick. Yeah, just so you know. Yeah.
Honestly,
It
respect
keeps
that.
everybody on their toes. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's noble.
You got to make it count.
Yeah. Yeah, so cool. So I think I've met Luke. We've met once. Ian, we've met a couple times. Obviously, I would have liked to have done this in person, maybe next time. But obviously, we got a little bit of a pandemic situation still.
Yeah.
And I know your 2020 plans were definitely a little messed up, but has anything in 2021 been already pushed back for you guys? I know we're early in the year right now, but what are we looking like?
Yeah, it's kind of fucked.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No doubt.
surprisingly already, but it's not that bad. I mean, like we're pretty good at staying positive. But yeah, like we have like this record, and it's being mixed, and we've been trying to put the jets on for everyone, but between COVID and like wanting to make content around songs and not really being able to, Ian and I haven't jammed with each other in like a year. Not a year, but like maybe
Almost
6
half a
months.
year. Almost
Yeah.
half a year.
Yeah, so like we're trying to keep our hands on the wheel and the foot on the gas, but yeah, there's already been a couple curveballs, but the music will come out.
Yeah, I mean, at least there's that. Like the pandemic can't stop you from releasing music. Like we were just talking beforehand. Craig was actually just in the studio today, so thankfully studios are still running. And like, if you can do stuff at home or whatever, like
True.
at the bare minimum, you can still put out music, which is awesome.
Totally.
Which I was surprised by. You guys, the last time you guys were in the studio was in a house, right? And I mean, that's like home studios are kind of the godsend right now. But it seems like some studios are still trucking along. And you guys, like, do you guys do some home recording kind of stuff too? Some demos, that kind of thing?
Yeah, we've always done like basement demos. They've always been super shit. So like it's not really reliable for anything like as far as like what we'd want to put out. But at least we have that. I mean, super grateful to be able to like put down ideas and stuff.
I was going to ask, but you just said that you guys haven't really been jamming in a while, because I was curious just from my own band's experience over this whole thing, if like the writing process maybe not has changed, but I know that there were some songs pre-pandemic that we were prepared to go to the studio with, and now those songs are like we've totally scrapped them or put them away and written better songs that we've since recorded. So I don't know how far along you guys were in like the recording process of the album, but did anything like that kind of happen after this whole thing started and there was much more time to kind of focus on the songwriting because there was no shows or anything like that?
Absolutely.
Totally. Yeah, man.
Yeah, like suddenly like the album was, well, I mean, it had always been like all we had to look forward to, really. It's like the most exciting thing for us. But yeah, suddenly it was like that's all we had was like the prospect of eventually recording. And yeah, so a lot of pressure got put on the songs, and it ended up being really good pressure because we adjusted some ideas and wrote some new stuff that's like by far the best stuff on the album, I'd say.
Yeah, that's awesome. I know, like, just from personal experience, I noticed that we were rushing, and I didn't notice, like, pre-pandemic that we were rushing, but there was just some stuff when there's all that we had to do was kind of just write and chill and take our time. I was like, oh, we've been like rushing parts of the songs, or like you took our time and you go back and like rewrite where like we would not have done that if we were focused on playing shows and stuff like that. So now hopefully sooner rather than later, like we're going to go back to normal, but that's something I'm definitely going to keep with me moving forward of like, You don't need to rush through everything. You know, it's not that important to get the song finished if it's not going to be like as top tier as you can make it, you know?
Totally.
Were you guys kind of revising, like, once you had the time to do so, were you guys kind of revising on what you already had, or were you guys kind of going through the bank or just starting completely new stuff?
There's a little bit of everything, I guess. And we've never had a very big bank, unfortunately. I've never really been able to finish an idea that I don't like fully believe in. So stuff kind of just dies, which is fine.
That's actually really interesting. That's important, I think, as a songwriter, to know when to let go. How does the songwriting process work between the two of you? Like, is it a lot of Luke and then you guys form it out together, or how does that kind of work?
Yeah, like, I think a lot of the like starting points, well, actually it's kind of a mixture, but a lot of like ideas that come together in like arranged kind of like form, I'll start, and then it always ends with us like taking a really hard look at them and tearing them apart together and adjusting things and imagining what it would feel like to play it live and all these things. But we don't really have like any set way. Like, it just happens. It's just whoever has an idea.
So coming from as being a two-piece, like I would assume thinking about how you're going to perform it live takes a big part of your writing process then, eh?
Yeah, definitely. There's certain things that we just can't do, which is cool. And that limitation, I think, helps us make more unique decisions, actually.
I was actually thinking about this today. I was just kind of like listening back through the catalog, and I noticed sort of with the newer stuff, I was wondering with how much you guys play, and sort of like you've played, you know, in Canada, the States, the UK. I remember, I don't know if you guys ever saw the Foo Fighters documentary, but there's a piece in there where Dave talks about writing enough space and how the way that like a UK audience would react, like how they would dance to songs, like dictated the tempo. Yeah. And I was wondering that you guys like how a lot of songs are just like fucking balls to the walls, like with Good Grief and like Sanjay specifically, like the newer shit. That's got to be an influence now when you're writing, and like how do you kind of manage between getting the song and keeping that like live feel?
Yeah, I feel like with every song we kind of talk about that, don't we? It's like we discuss like what crowd it's for.
Yeah, that's been a part of the. I think that's solely been a part of the process, like since the beginning. Like playing to 10 friends in Peterborough, like we wanted to make them jump in a certain way. Like that's kind of picturing the crowds that didn't necessarily exist, and then now luckily some crowds that do exist. That's a huge part of it.
So say you're gonna play a show for a Welsh crowd. What are you gonna do? What are you gonna write for a Welsh crowd?
I think that in my mind I kind of lump all the UK together, but they like to bounce up and down.
Yeah.
Honestly, like Good Grief, that was like one that I really pictured like our UK crowd for.
Yeah, that's awesome. I was wondering, since you have done Canada, you've done some US shows, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, okay, I thought so. So you've done Canada, US, and the UK. Are there any, and speaking sort of in like the live show culture, are there any like core differences between the three?
Europe is definitely like hands down the best. But I mean, like, also we're speaking from a guitar music perspective, where like in the UK, kids think guitars are cool still, and so it's just different. Like you feel that kind of like respect. In Canada's like a mixture of the two, I'd say. Like if UK's most hype, Canada's mid hype, and then in the US, it's kind of like it kind of feels like you're fighting.
Oh wow!
Not always, but like they're just a little bit more skeptical because I think American music there's so many more options and especially in like youth culture in America, people listen to hip hop and like more digitally produced things.
Of course.
And that's something that's really hard to replicate on a guitar, but you can kind of get there.
Yeah, I think Canada, I'm also like obviously kind of speaking on my ass here, but like I think Canadian music in general, no matter even where in the country you're from, there's that like pride that it's Canadian, regardless, even if you boil it right down to like hometown. Where like in the States, I don't think there's that same probably pride with like their bands and stuff like that, because so much, it's like obviously from the States, right? Like there's something really that special about it being from America per se.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know what you mean.
Kind of just feels like the world. I don't know.
Yeah, it's such a big melting pot down there.
Yeah, for sure. I was talking to a band today, and they were like, "Oh, from the UK," and they were like, "Oh, it's cool that there's like people in America listening to our music." And I was like, "Oh, like actually, I'm from Canada. Not that it probably matters, but it's like a little less insane up here." So I'll just let you know.
They're like, "Oh, that's actually way better."
Yeah,
Mate, you're from Canada? God, I didn't like you at first, but you're a good guy.
Well, if you guys were to write a song for the American crowd, like what would you have in mind? Would you be keeping in mind?
I think I guess another thing maybe would be that like I feel like the American crowd's more into like the riffiness and kind of like the musical part, and then in Europe and the UK it's like hands down the lyrics that are most important.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's cool. I like that they're focused on the lyrics. You don't have to put a lot of all rights and babies and oohs in there, Fill the space.
Yeah, no, they love to sing along and like, yeah, they like wordy stuff.
I want to switch gears a little bit because this was something I wanted to ask you for a long time, and then I actually got my answer from a Loudwire like interview or whatever, but I want to dive deeper. So I saw an article the other day that you guys or Luke or whatever cold emailed Allie, the head of rock at Spotify, for Hometown. You like cold emailed her as a fan, and I really want to dive into that. So maybe if you want to like tell the story, maybe, and then we can go from there.
Yeah, okay. So check it out. Where does it begin? I think it begins at the part where I went to college for music business management.
Nice.
I did a year of that at Durham College, and that was like somehow my plan B to music or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, I went to school because I think I've kind of just felt insecure about like really putting all the chips on music. And so my backup plan was to like work at a label or something like that. I don't know. It sounds like a bummer now. But yeah, so like being there, I learned a bit about the music industry. And I'd obviously try to apply that to my band. There's lots of talk about like playlists and stuff, which is something I never really thought much about. In fact, I didn't really use streaming services until like, I feel like it was like a weird point in my life where I realized that I don't think I got what it was. I didn't realize that it had every song.
Yeah.
And that you could like save them and listen to them at any point.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Eventually I got Spotify, or I had Apple Music at first, and then I ended up getting Spotify, and I was like, holy shit, this is crazy. And then I started to like look for music, which is what Spotify is great for, like trying to find new bands and stuff. And then I truly realized like the power of playlists. And that was right about the time that we were like recording the Boys EP and stuff. So that like kind of became a goal that I had for that music. It's like some playlist support on Spotify. Our goals were set pretty low. Like we just wanted like I forget what they're called, but like the ones where it's like a normal human being just
Yeah.
making a playlist that's sort of popular. And we got a few of those. But somewhere along the lines, maybe it was in college or just on the internet or something, I'd seen like artists tagging Ali Hagendorf, the head of Rock at Spotify. And I kind of realized that she was like the gatekeeper. And I did some like not so deep diving on the web and found her email. And I had it saved in a note on my phone, and I was just waiting for like the day that I would have the confidence / the songs to send to her.
Yeah.
And yeah, so flash forward, we record the EP, and Hometown is on there, and I really believed in that song. Just one day decided like, yo, now's the moment. I'm gonna use this email. But it wasn't as brave as that, because I ended up like half chickening out and pretending to be someone else. Where I was like, I sent her the link to the song, and I was like, OMG, Ali, like, you've got to check out this band from Canada. They're called Cleopatrick. They just dropped this new song, Hometown, and I'm obsessed, or some shit like that. Like, it's so lame.
How many fire emojis did you put on there?
I don't think there was any emojis. I probably wrote it like trying to make it look like I was like a sort of older, like
Okay.
well-versed music listener or something.
Right on.
And I remember thinking, like, if this works and she finds out, like, my email is it just has my name, Luke Grunts, in it.
Right.
Like, so I remember thinking, like, if this works out, she's bound to notice, and she's going to think that I'm like an idiot.
Yeah.
But I really didn't expect her to even read it. But yeah, so I sent that email off, and literally 20 minutes later, I like checked my phone, and she had replied and was like, OMG, this rocks. I just put it in the New Noise playlist. And I remember just being like, wow, like the fucking internet, that is just crazy.
Yeah.
And I called Ian, and I was like, man, we just got put in a playlist. Like, this is so crazy. Like, people are going to hear our song and think that we're a real band.
Yeah.
Because that's like part of what it was. It was just like having our name in a playlist beside other bands that we listened to was like
Yeah.
mind blowing. But yeah, that was like the catalyst for a lot of what we've been able to achieve
Totally.
over the last year and a bit. Is that single email.
I think that's important to like note, especially if you're like a new band, that just like asking doesn't hurt. And like the way that you did it is like not all that crazy, really. I remember Addison from Lost in Japan told me one time when Lost Arts was starting to book shows, I was like, how do I book shows? And he gave me the advice that he's like, when you email the book or whatever, just like write it as if you're your band's manager. Just be like, hey, my name's Caleb.
That's great.
I'm representing Lost Arts, blah, blah, blah. And then he goes, then you just like show up with an acoustic guitar or whatever. But like it reads official. Whether or not they believe you, it doesn't really matter.
Totally.
It just reads good.
In order to get what you want, lie.
Yeah.
That was kind of like the unspoken motto of the band though for a while, was fake it till you make it. I remember playing shows
100%.
with like the crowd's not there for you, but you quickly like have a friend run to the back and take a photo that makes it look like the room's packed and that they're all watching your set. And then you
100%.
post that.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Totally.
I never understand bands that don't do that. Or they like post the photo where you can like you're like, you could have just taken that from a different angle. What are you guys doing?
Yeah, like don't show like the hole in the crowd.
Yeah,
Crop
exactly.
it.
The best trick by far that I found is you just for 1 second just go like, everybody put your hands in the air, and then just be like, all right, hold it, and get the photo
That's
real
the classic.
quick.
And everyone knows when you see those photos, you can sense the energy's off. But but whatever,
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
everyone does
like
it.
they've got
so you
their
just
hands in the
respect
air,
it.
but they've got like a what's going on look on their face.
Yeah, they're all looking directly at the camera.
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and like honestly too, like in like your situation, what's the worst thing that happened? She doesn't reply to your email, and then like whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
You're not any worse
No
off.
harm, no foul.
Yeah, exactly. So, dude, that's incredible. Because I've been like, yeah, everything I've read about these guys, like since it seemed like it was like a pretty average band experience, then all of a sudden, like, how did they get this song on this playlist? Because like every YouTube video you look up is like you submit and then hope for the best, basically.
Yeah.
And but that's interesting, man. That's pretty fucking cool. And I mean, here we are, fucking two headlining tours in the UK later. That's pretty fucking rad.
Millions of
Yeah.
streams later.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no kidding. I felt like I had a follow-up question for that, but I don't think that I do.
Worst interviewer ever.
God damn it, dude.
No, I'm kidding.
This is the worst. This will be the last podcast. Cleopatrick broke my spirit, and now I've retired.
Yeah.
Hey man, you're just not cut out for it, okay?
Yeah, we're changing the podcast name to We Will Never Jam
Yeah,
Again.
we will never jam again. The final jam. Okay, well, I think we could. Well, we're 20 minutes in. Let's talk about the new Rock Mafia. If you listen to the Zig Mentality and the Ready the Prince in our podcasts, we talked about it, and I opened both of those by saying I'm not going to ask you what it is, because I think that you guys are going to be fielding that question probably for the rest of your careers, however long that may be. So I want to get deeper, because I've been a fan of you guys for a long time. Before it was, I think the new Rock Mafia was like a legitimate cult, if you will. But I remember the first time that I did the podcast with Ray the Prince, I asked Steve about it, because it was just this like caption that you guys were using, and nobody would seem to be questioning it, but I noticed. So I'm curious as to like, was that just a caption that you put one day and then it like all of a sudden became this like fan club thing, or like what was sort of the motivation from like caption to cult status?
Yeah, it just evolved. It was so organic, and like we never like set out. It was never like that calculated move where you like name your fandom and like I don't know. It was never about that. It was just like, we are super good friends with Ready the Prince, and we were just becoming super good friends with, then their band name was Dubé, but now they're Zig Mentality. And yeah, we were all just like talking about music, and we all had like these views on guitar music and how it should sound and like what we're going for, our message. And the vibe was just like amazing. We just felt like we were really on the same page. And then like at some point, I think I just like, we were like calling it whatever this like friendship was, many different things for a while. And at some point, I think I said New Rock Mafia in a caption. And then Steve was the one that really like was excited about that and like took it on. And I remember him texting me being like, man, like we should just make this a thing. Like it should just be the New Rock Mafia. It just started to be a thing. And it's always been like pretty undefined. I think like as it's grown, it's kind of turned into this like a label that helps the people that listen like feel like they're in on things and they belong. Mm-hmm. It's kind of like a name for our most engaged, most valuable friends and fans that are listening. Like it's an identity, and it's also a way to just kind of like set aside our stuff from like the greater scope of rock music, which is really diverse. And there's a lot of highs and lows in guitar music right now. A lot of really sick bands and a lot of bands that are really just there to kind of like profit. They're like an industry machine. Mm-hmm. So yeah, like NRM kind of turned into like this Canadian thing. Like it's us three bands that happen to be like neighbors to each other essentially. And then it honestly, like we just kind of left it at that, and these kids made it really into what it is, which is like this cult thing, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, it's turned into like a community. Like you've got some very dedicated fans that have kind of all come together to congregate over these bands that they really love.
And it's so cool. Like it's so exciting to know that people care enough that they're like putting parts of themselves into this thing and like giving us ideas. So now like we use NRM to like super serve those fans. We have like a list of their names, phone numbers, addresses, like all this creepy personal information.
Damn.
Social insurance
Post
numbers.
it all on the podcast right now.
Yeah. And we just use that to like, send them a personal email. They're not just on our regular email list, they're on the NRM list where they get a link to something early, or, they get let in a little bit more. Wow, my mom just sneezed upstairs and it was so loud. I might got it. That was so funny.
Mom, what the hell?
Definitely heard something.
All right, well, I've got a serious question here. Who do you think would win in a fight?
Oh God,
the New Rock Mafia or the Kiss Army?
Oh shit.
Definitely the Kiss Army.
The Kiss Army?
So many of them. They ride motorcycles like
That's
with
true.
They're like all dads.
We do
now.
have there is youth on the side of the New Rock Mafia, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. Maybe we're a little more nimble.
Yeah, I think the Kiss Army. I think the Kiss Army has seen some shit though. You know what I mean?
That's
like
true.
Yeah,
that's
definitely.
that's a few decades. You know what I'm saying?
Well, even so, speaking of getting a hold of the New Rock Mafia, you guys have a pretty insane web You know, you guys span pretty far across the internet, and you're really good at it. You're really good with the socials. I was curious, do you guys enjoy it? Like, do you guys enjoy working on those socials and thriving on the internet, or are you guys kind of like a slave to the trade of being on the internet all the time?
I feel like we used to really love it, and then lately, like, I mean, this just comes with lots of people listening to our music, which like is obviously a thing to be grateful for. But like, it's not just our like tiny little group anymore, which sometimes can overwhelm me. Like, there's every now and then there's like an asshole that just says some rude shit, and I'm slowly learning how to get over that and like accept that this thing that Ian and I made doesn't totally belong to us anymore, and we're not going to satisfy everyone. But yeah, there's definitely times where I'm like, fuck, I have to post on Instagram. Like, here we go. All right.
Yeah.
It kind of feels like a chore, but those are not very often.
Yeah.
Right. After you guys released Good Grief, I think Craig and I were talking about after you did it, you posted like an Instagram story of all the negative comments from Facebook, and I thought that was hilarious.
Man, and I knew that like not everyone would love this song because it's new, and like we took too long after the Boys EP. Like, we just grew up so much. Like, there was just no way that we could like still sound like the Boys EP and satisfy those people,
right,
while still satisfying ourselves. So we made the choice to just satisfy ourselves. But yeah, man, there's been some hilarious comments. People are really pissed about the vocal distortion and stuff. But listen, like, we're just having fun. This is how we've always wanted to sound.
Yeah.
And like, I'm really proud of this thing. Sure, like, it's intense, but it's supposed to be. That's how we sound live. It sounds fucked up when you're in the room.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like, I think it's really cool that we were able to like make this with our best friend and make it sound like that, like how we sound live. Yeah, I'm stoked on it, and I know the other songs will help people chill out a bit. But yeah, it's been kind of a trip reading them. I was just reading through them last night. That's probably why I sound a little passionate right now.
They're fresh
I was
in
on
your
Reddit.
mind, eh?
Went on fucking
Were there
Reddit.
any
It's
that
such a
like
bad
actually
idea.
cut deep? Like, they was like, wow, that's a little too personal.
I don't know, because I think you can look at all of them with like, if you can get past it, like, and look at it objectively, you think like, what is this guy doing, man? You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Exactly.
they almost become funny.
There was one dude on our Facebook, and he was like saying something about this is just noise, but then he started to like follow up comment with like pictures of his guitars that he owns, and he was like,
Yeah, that made me feel way better.
now this is guitar. And it's like, that is a guitar, yes. What are you doing though, man? Like, what are you? His framed picture of like Jimi Hendrix or something. It was like, what are you?
It's like,
Yeah.
damn, bro, I
Yeah.
think you're in the band now.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Once you can kind of like just understand where people are coming from, then it doesn't bug me nearly as much. But
It's tough.
it's
Though,
just that
man.
initial feeling. Yeah.
And like, especially with nothing else going on right now, like, it's so easy to immerse yourself online and just kind of become that person who's
Yeah, lash
like-
out.
Yeah.
That's definitely a huge part of it. Like, if in an alternate universe, we released Good Grief and played a show in my basement that night and saw all our friends, and everyone was like smiling, and I would just like laugh at these comments. But because we haven't done that, it's like there's a little bit more focus on them. But whatever. I mean, learning to get over it.
Yeah, I mean, it is what it is. And like you said, like, it's you're in a weird place right now, because like it probably still feels the same as it did like a few years ago before like blowing up essentially. And now there's this thing where it's like, it's yours, but it's not yours, and you just kind of have to grow and feel that stuff as it like comes in.
Yeah,
All part of
definitely.
all part of growing, I guess. I wanted to pick your brain a little bit about this pirate radio thing that you did too in like releasing Good Grief. I don't know, Craig, did you know about this?
Yeah, I saw it was like a Matrix screen almost going on.
Yeah, and then there was like a
online.
whole fucking website these guys put together that looked like probably the internet before any of us were born.
I think I remember it. I think I remember it being like that.
But yeah, that was fucking insane. And like, that's one of those things, I was like just sitting here in my living room being like, these fucking guys, man, like, this is insane. And like the type of shit that like, if we had more than 40 monthly listeners, that I would definitely want to be doing. But I don't know how I would go about putting a website like this together. But I don't know necessarily like, I don't know if you want to speak freely about that. I don't know if I have a question necessarily, just that it was a badass way to promote the song.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, we I think like in analyzing what has made our band cool, it's been like stuff like that. Stuff where we've like done a thing that we know not every single one of our fans is going to care about or be able to experience or whatever. But like we just know that whoever does get to be there, it's going to be so cool for them that they're going to talk about it for like the next little bit. And everyone that missed it will be like, fuck, I shouldn't have missed that.
Yeah.
It's like this like FOMO marketing thing that we talk about with, you know, our like managers and stuff. But yeah, so like even more so than ever with COVID, like we knew that putting out, first off, like the first song we're putting out in so long and something that sounds so different and something that we're not going to get to support with a show or like a live stream even because of regulations. We were like, yeah, we have to do something cool, like where people feel like they have a memory to go along with it. There's like context to it and they get to feel like they were a part of it. And that was the idea we came up with, which I guess maybe we'll say for like anyone that didn't get to be there. We were kind of teasing that new music was coming out. I mean, we've been doing that forever, but we were like seriously teasing that new music was coming out. And then one day posted this like cryptic PSA thing that was like robot guy telling everyone like, you have to go to cleopatrick.com right now, which we like redid our website. And this was kind of like the launch of our new website. And it looks like a 90s desktop computer that anyone can go check out now. It's still there. But anyways, yeah, there's like a couple little icons on there. And one of them was dark web. And we had people go click on that and it loaded up this radio stream via the internet that was like a bunch of white noise for a couple hours and had like a little chat room and stuff. And it kept telling people like, come back at this time. There's like a countdown clock and you're going to hear like, you're going to be the first in the world to hear new music from Cleopatrick. And yeah, and then like we made like this full fake radio show that played some Ready the Prince and played Zig and then debuted our new song. And it was super fun.
Yeah, dude, it was super rad. And like I said, man, I was in my living room like, these fucking guys, man, this is like super cool. And it definitely, I mean, at least just speaking for myself anyway, it does accomplish that thing where like there's no show, there's no live stream, but there is that like, but they did this like weird like online radio thing that kept telling me to wait fucking 20 minutes and then 10 minutes and then but it was I remember I went to the time that it was like 4:00, right? And then I was like, sweet, here it is 4, and then it was like, come back in 20 minutes. And I was like, what the fuck? I'm here. Just show me the music.
Yeah, man, people were like, of course they made it 4:20.
Yeah.
That was totally not by design. Honestly, I thought that it would be like we'd post the link, people would go see the countdown clock, which lasted like 4 hours.
Yeah.
And then they'd leave and come back at 4. And then so I wanted to have that like 20-minute period where people could like log in basically at 4. But instead, the majority of people just stayed for 4 hours, and then they were fucking pissed when they had to wait 20 more minutes. And I was like, I was sitting in my basement with my girlfriend. And we were both like, oh shit, yeah.
Oh my god, the doors are gonna
be a
busted
mutiny
down.
Well, dude, we ended up having to like mediate the chat because like there was like it was just going on forever, and then there ended up being like some kind of rude douchebags in there saying some like homophobic stuff, so we ended up like having to like fucking like be behind the scenes like the whole time, like just making sure nobody was being too much of an asshole, kind of.
Yeah, which is another good example of like that was like that gave me a crazy amount of anxiety, just realizing that like, oh my god, there's people that like our music and also are down to like anonymously say some rude shit.
Yeah, it's kind of like the Wild West on this fucking group chat.
Yeah,
it's pretty wild.
I was like, holy fuck, I guess this really just isn't just our friends anymore. Like, we're appealing to assholes now. Thanks, radio.
I do have, it's kind of moving on, but this is maybe a too broad of a question. But do you think that there's like a fundamental problem with, I guess more so like mainstream rock and roll these days? Because I know we're all kind of rallying against the norm as like new rock bands. But do you think there's like something that you could maybe point to that's maybe an issue?
I mean, I don't think that the problem lies with the musicians. I think that the problem lies with the way the industry's built and the fact that rock music is like one of the first music genres to ever see success with like record sales and the whole like dawning of the recording industry. It's just been around for so long that I feel like all like the providers of music don't really know how to handle it anymore. I think that they promote the wrong stuff most of the time. And like when NRM kind of talks about like fuck the fakes or like, I don't know, shit like that. I mean, it's probably a poor choice of words because it might sound like there's some animosity towards musicians, but that's really not what it is. It's just like we think that the bands that should be supported are like bands that are coming up. Like there's so many bands in Canada like that. I mean, we could both name 10 right now that like just deserve their music to be heard. They're writing these songs in basements that are 10 times better than any of this top playlist rock this, stuff. And I guess also, I mean, this is personal opinion. Who knows really what is better? Nothing is better. But I think in my mind, like you should be supporting the people that don't have 20 producer credits on their song because they need that support. Whereas these other people are clearly connected. They're clearly selling out these shows. Like they're good. Playlists should be helping people discover new music, not just helping to inflate the careers of people that have it really good anyways. I realize that maybe we're going to eventually get to the point where that's a bit hypocritical because we receive so much playlisting support. But we're also trying to leverage that to promote our friends. And that's kind of what NRM, that's another piece of what NRM is about, is ideally we want to get to the point where like our NRM list of fans is so big that we can start our own playlists and be even bigger than these playlists that people are listening to right now and be able to put bands on that like really deserve these listeners.
That's something I've always been like really impressed with you guys is that like despite your growing success, like your stories are always filled with bands I've never fucking heard of before, and then you go to Spotify and it's like, whoa, they don't really have like many monthly listeners or whatever. Like that's fucking awesome. It's the whole reason I'm friends with Ray the Prince is because you guys had a story one time that I think it said, if you don't listen to Ray the Prince, fuck you. And I was like, I don't know, who the fuck are these guys?
Wow, fuck me, I guess. I gotta look these guys up.
And then I heard Dead Roads and I was like, yeah, Jesus Christ, these guys are awesome. But that's important, and I think that's something that is just, like as small as my reach is right now. Like that's something that I try to constantly do, both with the podcast or like my own band or whatever it is. Like if there's anything new that I hear that I think is awesome, like I try to let as many people know about it as possible.
Yeah, man. And that's important in guitar music because I think all the other genres, their playlists and their support seems to be pretty even. Like when someone's new and they're fantastic, they can kind of like make it. But like we got so fucking lucky with Spotify. Like to be a rock band from Coburg, Ontario that was completely independent, and we were the cover of Rock This like twice. That's never happened before. I remember Ali telling us like this doesn't happen. And so it's like, actually, you know what? I kind of lost my point there. But it wasn't just to talk about how sick we are.
Well, it's almost like there's so much, not really competition, but there's so much content out there, and there's so many guitar bands that it's like it's hard for when everyone's trying to come up for everyone to be keeping in mind that you got to be pumping everyone else up at the same time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. You know what? Yeah, that's exactly what I was hoping to say.
You're welcome.
It's like we got so lucky, and we're just trying to share that luck. And I think that it's like a really healthy thing for just, it's not like a competition in guitar music. Everyone should just be lifting each other up.
Of course. That actually just reminded me, I forgot I had a quick follow-up with in terms of Ali. Did she ever find out, or did you ever tell her that I was actually you?
Yeah, like I think we just talked about it like last month or something, because she has like her podcast on Spotify called Rock This with Ali Hagendorf, and she knew we were putting out Good Grief and stuff, and so we were DMing, and she was gonna play like Hometown on the thing, and she was just kind of like asking like, you know, like I don't really remember how did this relationship start, and I was like, well, actually, and she thought it was hilarious.
Yeah. Now that we've been on the playlists a bunch of times,
so promise you won't be mad.
Yeah,
we get locked out.
Don't take our fans away.
We get locked out of Spotify immediately.
Yeah,
we owe them money somehow.
Yeah. You go on like all the streams are somehow like gone. You're like, how did you even do this?
It's like that Justin Timberlake movie with the number on your arm just depletes to zero.
Yeah. How does Hometown have
We're on the cover of
plays?
Don't Rock This?
Just as revoked.
Holy shit. Okay, I got some fan questions that I want to get to, but I have one more question that if you did listen to the past the Zig and the Ray the Prince podcast, I'm pretty sure I brought this up on both of them. I don't know how much you like getting in to lyrics, but with this one specific song, I gotta ask you about it. So The song The Depths off of the Boys EP. I also grew up in a small town. of Meaford, Ontario, and I've never related to a song like so specifically in my entire life. Like obviously there's a bunch of modern baseball songs that I'll cry myself to sleep to, but like the depth specifically, especially like specifically the second verse, like the whole like partying in a field, hockey boys with baseball caps. Is that how true to your high school experience is that song? I don't mean to blow up your spot or whatever, but
No.
but I gotta know.
Yeah, that was one of the first songs that like I was really like honest on. I actually remember like playing it the first few times and like feeling kind of nervous to say these things, because like yeah, before then like songs, if I had to say something personal, I'd do it from someone else's perspective or like, you know, whatever. But yeah, that was like just like being a guy in a small town. I mean, you're surrounded by other guys. In our case, like Ian and I are pretty timid, and in high school we had a really small group of friends, and we didn't really run with like the hockey dude crowd, and they weren't the best guys. No. But I remember like you're just confused at that age in general, and I remember thinking like whether it was things they'd say about girls or about I don't know, whatever.
Yeah.
I don't think I need to give specific examples. We all
I know
what
exactly
I'm
what you're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah, and I remember thinking like, am I supposed to be doing that stuff? Like,
Yeah.
am I supposed to, like, am I not a guy enough?
Right.
And it was really, I don't know, it tripped me out, and especially the party thing, because like, I never really went to parties in high school. Not that I wasn't always invited, but I knew that I couldn't really handle those situations. Just honestly being around those guys made me like a completely different person. Like just not a bad person, but like I wouldn't talk. I was just a shell of who I normally was. Right. Yeah, like, but then, you know, parties would happen and you'd hear about them on Monday, and I'd feel like I missed out on something. Yeah. Which is like, I remember going to sleep on Friday nights, like early after watching like 10 Vsauce videos or something, and thinking like, does like everything important happen when I'm sleeping? Like when I go to school on Monday, everyone's going to be talking about these things, and I just know like the trajectory Earth is on in the respect to the Milky Way galaxy or some shit Michael Stevens told me. So that's kind of what that song is about. And the second verse is like a little bit more of like some anger towards that whole thing.
I just remember when like the lyrics, like when I first like heard them for the like, and they resonated with me. First, like the pre-chorus, I was like, man, I felt dumb because I was like, this is the pre-chorus I've been trying to write for like ever and never made it happen. But just that whole second verse, I was like, dude, if I wrote these same words, they would be just as true to like my high school experience. And like I said, like I've never related to a song like so literally before. But yeah, like when I was in grade 11, we had a junior B hockey team come to our town got a junior B team. And so there was like guys that were in like their early 20s coming to high school parties, and just inevitably, man, like fights would happen. Like when there would be like party invites, they would like specifically say like, don't bring the knights. And it's midnight every time they would be rolling up the driveway, and there would always be a fight. And it was just always, it's like, you guys are in your 20s. Like, what are you doing here? Totally. Like, it was just, and obviously like just, other shit that you would hear, or like, you just be like, this is unreal that like there's adults doing this shit. And just, I never related. Yeah, man. Yeah. It's really cool to hear that you felt these things, because I always think about like where songs might end up as they're being written, and I remember thinking like, wow, I wonder if anyone's really going to get this, or if I'm just going to sound like a dork. So it's cool, man. There's always another small town kid in a small town you've never heard of that,
an even smaller town in a hamlet or something.
You should jam.
We do a segment before we get to the fan questions called You Should Jam. So I always like to just throw the olive branch out there. Whatever you want. Usually if you got some like small town local suggestions for people to listen to, or just whatever you guys have been listening to lately, fire them out there. Whatever you think we should be listening to. Yo, the Effins just put out this crazy song called Pavement Age that is so catchy and I'm totally obsessed with. And then that coming out made me go back to their EP. And the first song on their EP, Burn Bush, is nuts. And so those two songs, if you like grungy, poppy guitar music, those two songs are epic. Perfect. And I've listened to them
like 10 times each today.
Awesome. The Effins. Ian, what do you got?
I'm trying to think without pulling up any. I mean, Luke did an outstanding job. Normally with questions like these, we're like, for 10 seconds. Yeah, I'm trying to think. I'm blanking. I feel like I've been blanking this whole time. To be honest,
no,
but that's
You've been killing it.
It's got scalloped potatoes in the brain. man.
quietly. I've actually been eating them the whole time.
Oh, dude, I wish we were doing video.
Yeah,
That's why I've been so quiet. I'm trying to think. I'm sorry.
All right,
I'm
well,
blanking.
we can come back to you.
Just
We'll
just
get.
blurt it out
please.
whenever you think of something. Just blurt it out.
We'll get to some fan questions, and anytime you think of a band, just impulsively spit it out into the universe.
Thanks, guys. You
No
guys are
problem.
the
We're very
best.
accommodating here on
whatever
this
you
podcast.
need.
Best,
Whatever you need.
best podcast ever. I take back what I said.
Nice. That's going in the intro
We
for
redeemed
sure.
ourselves.
Yeah.
We full fucking 360.
Nicest guys.
Okay, I got one more for you guys. So I won't lie. I did reach out to one Stephen DeCantis this morning, and I said, "Hey man, Cleo's coming on the show tonight. Is there something kind of ridiculous I can ask them at the end?" And he literally just sent me, and then there was 15 minutes between his next text message. And I said, is an inside joke? What am I supposed to say to these guys?
I was just spit out my water from that. That's funny.
Yeah. You literally, I went to my phone. I was like, he said, and it's 12:30, and he sent that at 12:15. All right, sick, Steve. That's awesome. But then he did say, there has been people post show that have asked you to like draw stuff on them, and then they've went and got it tattooed. So I was, is there anything like crazy that somebody's asked you to draw on them that's become a tattoo, or any crazy post show requests?
There's been some stuff. I mean, as far as tattoos go, there's been quite a few tattoos, which is always a trip because like it feels like we're kind of a part of the decision, and I don't really like that responsibility. But also this person clearly really cares about our music and stuff. So like I don't want to say no.
Totally.
So there's been like tattoos of lyrics and stuff, which is totally cool, and that's an honor. And sorry, so is every tattoo, but the ones that have just been like crazy and funny and random. I think it was in Amsterdam, the notable one that Steve was present for, where this guy like came up to us and we played at this place called Paradiso, and there was like another show happening in the same room like after we were done, so we had to leave, and normally we would like hang with everyone that came to the show. So I said to like the crowd, like, yo, you can come meet us out front, like near the van, and we'll hang out for a bit. And then everyone from the show, like it might have been like 300 to 500 kids came and just like surrounded our van.
Oh my God.
And we just like went through them one by one. And it was honestly one of the best nights of my life.
Dude,
it
yeah.
They were the coolest people.
Every single person was the nicest person you've ever met, honestly.
Yeah.
Like,
It was adorable. And everyone was just handing us joints and giving us warm hugs and like telling us like these nice stories about how they discovered our band. It was incredible. But anyways, this one really stoked guy comes up and takes his shirt off. And from my perspective, he just came to me and he already had a drawing on him, I'm pretty sure, from Ian. And he was like, yo, Ian just drew this on me, like, kid. And it's like a self-portrait. Because I think, I mean, you can say whatever he said to you, Ian, but didn't he like just come up to you and he asked you to draw anything, right?
Yeah. Well, but I'll also say I totally misunderstood, and I thought it was a fun thing for the moment. Like he said, I swore he just asked for me to draw something on him, and that was it. And I was like, sure, man. And it was the worst. Like not even intentionally. I was just like kind of like a little socially like kind of anxious and just like trying to draw something when my hand was shaking, and I drew the worst face of all time, like just unintentionally, like just a fun little cute terrible brutal drawing.
It was your great grandfather Fraser.
It was Fitzpatrick. Yeah.
So then this guy came to me and he was like, yo, Ian just drew on me, like, it's like a self-portrait, can you draw one too? And I also didn't realize what it was for. I thought it was also just for fun. So I just drew a photo of myself. And I think we even labeled them like Ian and Luke. And then he like, I finished up, I was like, yeah, there you go, man. And he was like, this is awesome. I'm going to get this tattooed tomorrow. And I was like, what? And he was like, yeah. And he was like, I'll send you a photo as soon as it happens. And then like just disappeared into the crowd. And we were like, that can't be real.
Yeah.
And
Did you
then
get the
lo
photo?
And behold, lo and behold, the next day we're all like, we woke up in this beautiful like field somewhere in the Netherlands with ready to print. So we all met up outside and pulled out my phone, checked the DMs, and there's this message from this guy. Actually, no, sorry, it wouldn't have been in the morning, but it was at some point that day.
I was gonna say he got it tattooed while he was pissed drunk.
I will
Getting
say
the timeline wrong.
I think he I don't think he ended up getting mine drawn on him though, or at least maybe he only sent a picture of like the first stage with mine smudged. Either I'm hoping mine just smudged in the night and he was like, oh, I can't get it done, or maybe he just was like, maybe I can just do the one. You know what I mean? Because mine was like
Yeah.
so bad, man.
That's awesome.
So
I
I'm
wound
hoping,
up I wound up getting a parking lot tattoo in the parking lot of the Horseshoe Tavern. My first tattoo ever by Sad Stab. Big shout out to her. But yeah, I've encountered those post show tattoos before. They're pretty interesting.
something exciting about it, man. Like that's super cool. It's super fun.
Yeah,
But,
totally. There's stories behind that kind of shit, right?
yeah.
Yeah. Well, and that guy's a real one. He forfeited a post-gig shower just to keep that on his
That's
body for
true.
us.
Wow.
Yeah, no doubt.
Like, that's honorable.
Seriously.
Yeah, that's incredible. That's hilarious. Oh man. All right. Well, I won't keep you guys any longer. Was there anything else you wanted to mention before we stop recording here?
Man, I don't think so. I think I just want to say thanks. This has been really fun.
This has been a lot of fun, guys.
I appreciate it. We can stop recording here in a second and we can say goodbye off air. But yeah, thank you so much for coming on. This was fucking awesome. And maybe next time we can do it in person.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Let's hope for that.
And fucking and hopefully we can play a show together one day for real.
Absolutely, man.
That'd be rad.
Absolutely.
All right, cool. We can stop recording and we'll say goodbye off air. So
Sweet.
Cleopatrick, everybody. Thanks.
Cheers.
Peace.